Hello everyone and welcome. My name is KFM and I'm the creator of the Pokémon Romhack Pokémon Victory. And this is part 5 of my developer playthrough and commentary. So last time we walked through Route 4. We made our way to Mount Lave, which is the mountain we're standing in front of right now. Here, I'll just show you on the map. So we started in Riverhaven here. We walked up north to Route 4, and we are right now on Mount Lave, which we explored thoroughly. I talked a lot about the secrets in Mount Lave, and I showed you the water orb that we received that I gave to my Tyrogue to change its contributing resonance type to water. And we are now using water resonance with Tyrogue, Mudkip, and a fainted Lotad. That might be good to point out, actually. Resonances still work even if Pokemon are fainted. So today, we're gonna run back to Riverhaven, and we're going to heal ourselves all the way back up to full. Oh, we had Repel on. And we'll be making our way south. Now, I have some plans of what our team is going to look like for the foreseeable future. There are some Pokemon coming up that we'll be catching, and I'll also be catching a Pokemon on Route 3. Now that I think about it, we could have caught a Tailo actually, but I want to go with Pidgey. And Pidgey is on Route 3, as we can see here. Perfect. Got one on the first wild battle. So let's quickly defeat this Pidgey. Go. And add it to our team. 100% catch rate, not an issue. Pidgey was caught. Level 4, that's a bit low, but we have some experience stored in our XP store, which we will use to level up. Go. The reason I want Pidgey is, well, there's two reasons. One reason is to show off another resonance eventually, the flying resonance, which is very good. And I also want to show off Pidgey's evolution method. It's also pretty good. Flying types are good in the demo. Right, going a bit fast there, but this is the start of Route 5. This is where we'll be heading down to progress the story. You saw this briefly in the previous episode, and I believe the episode before that I ran down here. Previous episode I ran in here to get the fishing rod, so spoilers for this episode. The fishing rod is in this house, which is called the Fisherman's House, which we'll enter in just a second after we pick up this feather here. The evolution item, blue-tipped feather. We'll hop on inside. Here is our friend the fisherman, who gives us a fishing rod. Thank you very much. Works just like the usual fishing rod in the normal Pokemon games, normal Generation 3 games. There we go. Psyduck. Just Psyduck. This NPC can trade your yellow shards for moves. I believe I mentioned this briefly, or I didn't mention exactly that it was an NPC, but I mentioned that you can use yellow shards to buy stuff. And this is the NPC for that. You can talk to him. He teaches you moves. Right now he only has agility on offer. That's the only move in the demo. That will be expanded upon in the future real game, if that's ever released, but right now it's just agility. Agility can be used to evolve certain Pokemon, so it's a pretty good move to learn. We can't learn it right now because we're lacking a yellow shard, so we'll come back here later. Quick note on that guy, he used to be... Actually, I'll show you super fast. He used to be in the house on Route 3. I'm just going to speed up here to show you. Because if you remember, all the way back from episode 2, I actually have a house on Route 3 here that you can't get to yet because it's locked behind, well, you'll see what it's locked behind later. You see up there in the left corner, the door. He used to be in there, which was a bit... It takes you a while to get there, and it requires some backtracking, and it's not even sure that you'll unlock the thing to get there in this demo, because it's not a requirement to progress the story. So I sort of moved him into another place, because I thought his function was so important, because it teaches agility, and agility is used to evolve some Pokemon, that he needed to be a little bit easier to access. At least for the demo, actually. He might unironically move back there for the full game, but we'll see. So let me just snap back here. Here we go. Alright. Route 5. Hello, Miss Ranger. This model is new as well. The Ranger's model. The Generation 3 games don't have models for Rangers. Definitely not female Rangers. Do they have male Rangers? No. I don't think they do that either. They have like battle models, but not overworld models. So this was made by a good friend of mine, and yeah, I just wanted to point that out. It's a very nice model. So this route is full of trainers, and we'll be battling them all for some good experience. This guy is called Fisherman John, and I don't know if you paid attention to the text he had there at the beginning, but that is a song reference to the song of the same name, or almost the same name. It's John the Fisherman, I believe, by Primus. Pretty sure it's Primus. That was the wrong move. I wanted to press Mach Punch there, but that's fine. So again, a reference in my game, but like if you don't know this reference, it doesn't matter. If you do know it, it doesn't really matter either. It's just a nice little nod to a song. An old song. Psyduck. I think this is the first time we're seeing Psyduck in battle. We just saw one in the house, but Psyduck is actually Psychic type in my game. Not water psychic, which I think surprised a lot of people. And I don't really know how to explain the reasoning behind that, other than I think it's kind of cool. Oh, we got our water resonance, nice. And he used soak on us, so we're also wet. Wow. But yeah, that is kind of cool when Pokemon have a typing that sort of doesn't reflect their, like the animal that they're based off, because Psyduck is a duck, right? And you would always assume a duck is a water type. That makes perfect sense. And maybe a water flying type too, if it's got wings, right? But Psyduck, I just made Psychic because I thought it's cool. And Psyduck obviously has a connection with Psychic because it has like headaches or whatever, it has psychic powers. I think a lot of people are confused why Psyduck isn't actually a water psychic Pokemon in the real games. And I'm one of those people. Watch out, you shouldn't run on bridges, kid. Thank you, lady. I will run on bridges anyways. There's a trainer later that has a sort of opposite to her dialogue. He encourages you to run on bridges while she says to stop. Flying type, this is what I was a bit afraid of. We're pretty weak to flying types, but Mudkip should be fine. But we will be catching some Pokemon on this route to sort of make up for that weakness. One of my favorite Pokemon, and one of the very few Pokemon in this Romhack that is not Gen 1, 2, or 3. It's actually an incredibly late addition. It's a Generation 9 Pokemon. It's a bird, flying type. Wonder if you guys can guess which one it'll be, but you'll see which one it is later on in this episode here. Okay, we took a lot of damage from Pidgey. Pooch. Pooch is not a problem. For our Tyrogue. Should be just one, maybe double kick. Sure, I think double kick is a higher chance of dealing big damage. Please don't flinch us. Thank you. Easy. Wow. One shot. Tyrogue is pretty strong at this point, high level. Since it was the Pokemon that got the kill on level 60 Blastoise. Bye bye, lady. Now we have some stuff to talk about here. First off, this NPC down here, this artist. He doesn't say anything special. He says that he loves the ocean. Relatable. But if you pay close attention to the screen in front of you right now, especially in the spot where he is looking, you might have noticed that there's these rocks, right? That are very commonly used in the Generation 3 Pokemon games, just to sort of segment off water areas. It's the same as the trees that are used to segment off the land areas. These rocks are used to segment off water areas to tell players where they can and can't go. But there is actually an opening in the rocks here. And I added this NPC to sort of give a visual nudge towards the fact that there is an opening here. And once Surf is available in the game, which it is not in the demo, you will actually be able to surf through that little gap and head east. Now, there is nothing to the east on the map. Well, this map isn't finished, right? But still, there's nothing here. There's just ocean. But that's what this is supposed to be, at least. But I have huge plans for this ocean. If you figure out that you can actually surf out there, lots of secrets, like a huge open area that you can explore. And I'm not gonna tell you that you can go there, but if you pay attention to this little hole here, you would see that, yeah, you can actually go out there. So that's something to look forward to in the full game if that ever releases. If you watch this video and you know that you can actually surf to the east here, you'll be one of the first people maybe that gets to explore that area and find the secrets there. Right, this guy. Also some stuff to talk about with this guy. He's a trainer. He used to be a fisherman, just a regular fisherman trainer. But I changed him to a guitarist for the sole reason that I wanted him to have a Voltorb. And I didn't think that Voltorb really fit the fisherman aesthetic, so I made him a guitarist because they have electric types. And that's because I gave Voltorb in my game its very own unique ability. Now, we might do too much damage to proc the ability here, but we'll see. If we kill it, we'll have done too much. Of course, it's faster than, of course, we're Thunder Waved. And of course, we get paralyzed. I am not gonna skip back. We're just gonna roll with it here. Okay, let's hope it doesn't faint. It didn't. Perfect. And it blows up. And we do survive. Great. So I gave Voltorb an ability called Volatile, and it triggers if you damage Voltorb hard enough to hit it for more than half of its health, so more than 50%, which we just did. We almost knocked it out in one go. But you cannot damage it too much. So if you feint it, that's too much and it doesn't blow up. So the idea there is that if you sort of hit, or like you can imagine it as like kicking Voltorb hard enough, it'll get agitated and blow up, just like in the animes, right? Or the early seasons of the anime. It'll use self-destruct and blow up and do a bunch of damage. Even if it's not its turn, it'll just blow up. If you deal too much damage and you're too strong and you just knock it out, then it doesn't blow up because you made it faint. I want focus energy. Let's actually remove double kick. Might be a bit. You might think I'm a bit crazy to remove double kick, but let's do that. Yeah. So I thought that was a really cool Voltorb ability. Now I wanted to show this ability here for a reason that's gonna become apparent later in the second gym. And I'm not gonna explain it fully here, but it's because the second gym features an interaction between two things. And one of those things is the Voltorb's ability. So Voltorb blowing up. And then there's another thing that also happens that sort of interacts with Voltorb's ability, and a really interesting dynamic occurs, which I think is really cool. I'm just gonna run up and heal while I explain this. So I had this in the demo, and people thought it was really cool, and I was like, yeah, you guys are right, actually, I didn't think of this, but this is a really cool dynamic interaction. But I had a problem, or I perceived it as a problem, that the interaction was very overwhelming if you hadn't seen the parts of the interaction before. Does that make sense? So the interaction is Voltorb's ability and something else that I'm not going to tell you what it is yet, sort of both happening at the same time. But players saw this interaction, or like had this interaction as their first introduction to Voltorb's ability. So it was just so much, like it was a completely new ability for Voltorb. Wow, it exploded, why did that happen? I didn't know that was a thing. And then, so that happens, and then the interaction also happens, which is also new. And you're like, whoa, now a bunch of stuff is happening at the same time. A lot of information, a lot of new stuff. And I just wanted to keep the interaction because it was so cool. But I wanted to introduce Voltorb's ability separately ahead of time, so people most likely see Voltorb's ability here. They might not, because you might one-shot Voltorb and then you don't see it, and hey, it is what it is. I'm not gonna forcibly cover for like every little single scenario at this point, because it's not that important. But most players will see Voltorb's ability there and take note and be like, oh, Voltorb can do that. And then later I introduce the other element of this interaction separately, and you'll take note of that and be like, oh, that's how that works, that's kind of cool. And then they both happen at the same time, and then this cool dynamic happens. And then it's sort of easier to digest, right? Because you've seen both the parts separately, and now you see them in tandem with each other. So that was just my thought process behind that. Actually, quite a lot of thought behind putting that trainer there. Great. Let me actually just hop outside real quick. So we just walked down this route, and now there's a cave. These little cut trees are in the way, so we can't go down. We have to go into the cave. I'm actually going to... Am I? Yeah, I am. We're gonna use our XP store. It has 2,400 experience roughly stored, which is a lot. And we are going to use that to level up Pidgey. Wow, 11 levels. Do we want to pump everything into Pidgey? No, maybe not everything. Maybe to like 12 is pretty good. Nice. Quick attack. Sure. Quick attack is good. Of note is that Pidgey is not flying normal in my game, it's only flying. So there's no stab on quick attack. I don't know if I've mentioned stab before, but stab is same type attack bonus. It's an acronym that stands for same type attack bonus. Just means that if a Pokemon uses a move of the same type as the Pokemon, that move is stronger. 50% stronger. That was a bit weird. Oh, whatever. But alright, so this cave has Sandshrew in it. I like Sandshrew a lot, but it's nothing we're gonna catch in this playthrough. It's also got Zubats, which I also happen to like a lot actually, but it's not gonna make it on the team. Actually, Zubat could have made it instead of Pidgey now that I think about it, but it's fine. I like Pidgey. Let's Karate Chop this guy. Would have been nice if we had double kick here, but I have a reason not to have double kick. Defense curl. AI will always use defense curl because it sees it has rollout as well, so it'll use defense curl, and then it'll use rollout. But unfortunately for the AI, that is too late. This already defeated. Nice. Let's shop. This is where we level up Pidgey. Another perk of having Pidgey only be flying type is that it actually resists fighting moves, which is very nice. I don't like the fact that almost every single flying type in the real games is also normal type. I think that's silly. This should do quite a good amount. Nice. And that should do... Wow. Okay, I was gonna say that shouldn't do too much, and then it crit us. So that's half our health gone. Pidgey is not very tanky. It's good experience. We're actually going to use a quick potion here on our Pidgey. There we go. And we'll keep going. Quick note, I guess. To the left of me right now in the cave, there used to be an NPC that talked about the wall being like brittle or weak. And that was supposed to be a clue that in the future you can break this wall here and sort of open up a path. And then that's a path that takes you all the way back to the Pokemon pasture. If you remember from the beginning of the game. Let me show you here. Not sure where we'll show up on the map here. There we go. Because we're here, right? And the Pokemon pasture is actually right here. Or the professor's lab is here, the pasture's like here. So I was like, oh, I could actually connect the pasture with this cave and lock it behind something that breaks the wall, like a rock smash or whatever. So then later on, if people want to go back into the pasture, you can go back to this cave, break the wall, and enter the pasture through the cave. Because there's a cave in the pasture, if you remember. So that was a cool little backtrack map loop design idea I had. But I removed that NPC because I was unsure of it. But he might very well show up again in the future of this game. Because I think it is a good idea. Yeah, we can't run. Zubat is so fast. We are the opposite of fast. So we'll just have to take some damage here. Thank you. Fight this guy. This cave is not too big. It's just a little little side attraction. Well, it's not a side attraction, you have to go through here, but just a small little cave. I wanted a cave that players have to go through, because you don't have to go through the mountain / cave on Route 4, right? That's optional. So I put this here. Easy peasy. A Mankey, I believe? Yeah, we could actually use Tyrogue for Mankey too, but I have a Pidgey now, so Pidgey it is. Pidgey. Very good. Alright, let's use Ghost. Nice. Tanked that very well. Good, 2-shot. Don't crit me, please. Thank you very much. No problem. Level 13. Excellent, we'll keep going. Now up here there's a wall with a braille puzzle that is not implemented in the game. You cannot do anything with this braille wall, it's just here. I'm not entirely sure what this is going to lead to, but I left it here for as a like loose end for me to pick up in the future as I keep making my game. You can talk to the wall, it shows you some braille. Right now I believe it says in one word, not implemented. Which is funny, because it's not implemented. Haha. But yeah, NOTIMPLEMENTED. Yes, not implemented. Perfect. So you can't do anything there. But it's there. I guess it sort of also introduces the fact that there is braille in this game. If you remember from the last episode, there was braille in front of the big residence door, as I call them, that we opened. So there is braille in this game, braille puzzles. This guy comments on Magikarp, and he says it doesn't evolve just through leveling, question mark? No, it doesn't. I guess that's a clue from me, the developer, to you guys that don't catch Magikarp yet, because it doesn't evolve in the demo, and it's useless. This is the NPC that encourages you to run across bridges, just as a fun opposite to the NPC before. Sixcoon is going to blow up. Should have maybe Mach Punched, but whatever. Very nice. We're almost at the level cap of Tyrogue, but that's good. I want to show you what it looks like when you're level capped and the XP that you get. I think that's something nice that my game sort of allows as well, just using level capped Pokemon for everything if you want to, because you don't waste any experience, it's all put in the XP store. So you can just use one really strong Pokemon, but it might be a bit hard because level caps obviously don't let you become too strong. Ooh, close. Okay, we've got one trainer left on the route. Who is that fisherman over there? So let's loop around and talk to him. Fisherman Jamal. I had plans for Jamal to eventually show up later, actually. No specific reason that it's this guy. I just thought, oh, I wanted maybe a trainer that you fight that seems unassuming, just like a regular guy, but then he actually shows up later as part of like a traveling party that travels around the region. But again, that's not in the demo, so right now Jamal is just chilling here fishing. Very good. I don't know if you saw that, but it said we got like 19 XP, and that's because we only needed that to level up, right? And then we hit the level cap. Or I think it said 19 at least. Oh, low sweep is really good. Am I ever using detect again? Yes, I actually might be. Yeah. So we're actually not going to learn low sweep. Again, I have a reason for not learning these slightly stronger moves on Pyrogue. We can talk about that a bit later, but right now I want to show you what's up here. So we've cleared all the trainers of the route, but if you go up here, you actually come to this little section, which if you remember, we were on the other side of these trees before. That's the entrance to the cave. But this is the only patch of grass in this route. You can actually catch Pokemon here. You can fish for Pokemon. I believe the fishing Pokemon are like Wooper or Poliwag, one of the two, and then Remoraid and Goldeen. So this is the place where you can catch Goldeen. But up on land you can actually catch other Pokemon. Psyduck you can catch here. In the cave you can also catch Psyduck. The cave is Psyduck, Sandslash, Zubat, and I believe Geodude. Now we don't have the best matchup for Psyduck, so we'll switch into Zigzagoon here. We're gonna catch Psyduck, because I gave Psyduck a, what is in my opinion, incredibly fun ability. Really, really fun idea, based on the anime. And actually inspired by a YouTuber, or I say inspired, but it was pretty much his idea, or that's where I got the idea from. But I just tweaked it a little bit and implemented it into my game, because I thought it was such an obvious and good idea. YouTuber called Zen Mode. I'm not sponsored by him, but for sure check him out. I like his stuff a lot. But we'll catch Psyduck here. There we go. Now a feature that's in this game that's taken from RHH, their Pokemon Emerald decompilation project, is that once you catch a Pokemon, you can actually add it to your party immediately, which is super nice. So we're unfortunately going to say goodbye to Oddish. It's going to sit on the sidelines for a bit. And now if we take a look at Psyduck's ability, it is called Improvise. It says, may surprise its trainer. That doesn't really tell you much, but maybe you could guess what this does if you've seen the anime. And like I said, it's a reference to the anime, or if you've seen Zenmode's video on Psyduck. But I'm not going to tell you what it does now, but it's probably going to happen in battle, and then I'll talk about it. Good, so now I'm thinking in my head which Pokemon to keep, because we are actually going to catch another Pokemon here. I think we're gonna go say goodbye to Zigzagoon here probably. But let us find the Pokemon first. So in this grass you can catch Psyduck, you can catch Oddish, you can catch Wingull, and I believe it's the only place you can catch Wingull, yes it is. And there is one more Pokemon that you can catch. That's the one we're looking for. I'm going to gently tap the speed up button here. Just speed up a little bit, see what, so we get what we want here. Keep looking. Here we go. Wattrel, the Generation 9 flying electric bird. I'm a huge fan of Wattrel's design. I think it's so cool. One of the few Generation 9 Pokemon that I really like, both it and its evolution, but especially this little guy. I think the design is good. I think the typing is super good. Electric flying is really cool. Zapdos's typing, right? Pretty rare typing too. And yeah, so I added it to my game. And I wanted an electric type. Everybody's getting wet. And I also want sorry, excuse me. I also wanted another flying type, so we both have Wattrel and Pidgey now in a second. And that's because we might be taking advantage of Flying Resonance in the second gym. And I have plans for what the third flying type Pokemon will be, but we haven't gotten there yet. But for now, we're gonna catch Wattrel. Unfortunately, we're gonna replace Zigzagoon with Wattrel. I don't actually think we can now that Zigzagoon is in front of our party. So we're actually not gonna add Wattrel to our party yet. We'll pick it up in the box later. But yeah, so let's walk down here and end the route. And the very perceptive of you might see that there is indeed a little secret path over here, which leads to another secret lair. So if you remember from Route 3, there's a secret lair in Route 3. I talked about them there, so I'm not going to say too much about them here again. But there is a random Pokemon in here, and luckily for us, we actually got Flying type. Hey, that's pretty awesome. I guess we'll use this then, instead of the other bird I was thinking of. Doduo. The only place you can catch Doduo in my demo is here. Doduo is flying ground, so very fun typing too, just like Wattrel. Let us use our water type for the ground type Pokemon to make it a bit easier. That's not my water type. Okay, so well, there you go. Luckily for me, Psyduck's ability kicked in pretty much immediately. So when you swap Pokemon, there is a 20% chance that a Pokemon with the ability Improvise, which is what Psyduck has, gets sent out instead. Which is, if you've watched the anime, you know exactly where this is from. The character Misty in the Pokemon anime, early seasons at least, has a Psyduck. She sends out, or she tries to send out another Pokemon, but then Psyduck appears instead, and Psyduck is just kind of useless. It just has a headache all the time and doesn't do much. So that's where this ability comes from. So when it triggers, Psyduck comes out, you get this little text that says, "Wait, what?" And then you actually get a stat boost. Your attack, special attack, and speed get boosted by 1. Which is a very strong stat boost. Unfortunately, we're level 10 here, so we're taking a lot of damage. But it's a very good stat boost. We're actually still not even close to being faster than the Doduo, but we might do some damage here. And I added that stat boost because, I mean, the ability is really fun, right? Ooh, is he gonna survive this? Yes, we are. The ability is really fun, that it can happen like this, but it's random. I want experience, we're gonna swap out. But it occurs randomly, so when it occurs, it can occur in a very bad situation. Like if you're against a dark type, which Psyduck stands no chance against, right? So I wanted it to retain that sort of fun factor of just randomly happening and being very iconic to Psyduck. But I also wanted it to not just suck and not just be like a detriment, because this is like only bad if Psyduck shows up randomly. Of course we miss. It's like only bad if Psyduck shows up randomly. when you don't want it to. But if it gets a really good stat boost, that's different. Then it's actually really interesting, because then it can sort of happen unexpectedly, but actually be good and sort of change your strategy. Like, oh wait, now I have Psyduck in with a really good stat boost, but maybe that's actually really strong. Maybe that's an alternate way to beat this fight. Maybe that's the only way you can see to beat a fight sometimes, and you sort of fish for the Psyduck stat boost, for example. I don't know. But yeah, I thought that made it a lot of fun. It doesn't really make sense that it gets a stat boost, but it makes it so much better mechanically. Alright, Route 5 finished, and we are now at the Ranger Outpost. And as we go down to the Ranger Outpost, we see that there is a little sneaky character hiding in the corner here. This is the first introduction to the sort of evil team of my game, who pushes you away because he doesn't really want you being here looking at him when he's doing his shady business. He is a burglar. You could tell, or maybe tell by his sprite, that he's actually a Team Aqua member. But Team Aqua doesn't exist in my region, that's just the sprite I use, so I just call them burglars. Here we have the rangers, the male rangers, blocking entrance to the forest. They say that there is a lost Pokemon in the forest, and they ask you not to enter, as they're looking for it, and they don't want you messing up like the footprints or whatever on the ground. Below us is Route 6, that is blocked off with cut trees. And as you enter Route 6, you might have noticed there that the sort of brightness changed. It got a bit darker, and the music got a bit more ominous. Definitely a reason for that we'll be exploring next episode, so let's go back up. I can quickly talk about these trees too. We've seen these trees before, and they show up in the first town, Petty Old Village. And they're actually supposed to have a function, but that function did not make it into the demo. You're supposed to be able to use Headbutt on them to look for wild Pokemon, which is a feature in, I believe, the Generation 2 games and some of the games afterwards. But not only is there Pokemon you can find in them, but you can also find apricorns. And apricorns are an item that also exists in other Pokemon games, but right now they don't exist in my demo. And the purpose of apricorns, you might be able to guess if you played Pokemon before, but they're used to make Pokeballs. And you might think, wow, that's weird, making Pokeballs in this game where everything is 100% catch rate. Yes, that is weird, but that was planned. And I think it's something we'll talk more about later, because it'll be even more relevant in the next town that we get to. So for now, let us enter the Ranger Outpost and take a quick look around before we end today's episode. We have a bunch of NPCs here, but most importantly, we have our nice little healing lady, the nurse, who will let us rest and recover. Let's take a quick look at the PC and sort of prepare our team here. I really like Doduo. So Zigzagoon, you're gonna sit on the sidelines. And honestly, I was planning on keeping Psyduck for a lot longer to show off the ability, but the ability already happened and I got to talk about it, which I'm very happy about. So I'm actually fine with benching you now, Psyduck. Because now we have... Wait, actually, let me jump to this view. Now our party is Tyrogue with the Water Orb, which resonates water, together with Mudkip and Lotad, which both resonate water. And we also have Wattrel, Doduo, and Pidgey that resonate with flying. So we actually have met the criteria for having 2 resonance types, which I'll show off in the next episode. You can talk to this NPC, which is using the sprite for the gym leader Tate, which might throw some of you off, but I think it's a nice sprite and it sort of fit this type of wandering character that this is. This is a wandering trader who sells items. More specifically, they sell the herb items. The herb items are very expensive, but they heal you just like any other items. So this is sort of a expensive way to buy items, but if you really need items for the upcoming forest, you can buy them here. In the testing stages, before I released this demo to the public, I didn't have an NPC that sold items here, which I think was kind of silly, because the sort of guard outside the forest encourages you to stock up on items because the forest is dangerous, and then there's no way to buy items here, which didn't make any sense. You'd have to walk all the way back to the previous town, and that just seemed like a chore, so nobody did that, right? Like, they didn't go back and buy items. Like, why would they do that? That's so far to run. So I sort of added a trader here. He moves after you've sort of finished up this area, done the plot or story here. Then they travel to another place, so we'll see them show up later. This NPC doesn't say anything special, neither do these two. However, this lady blocks you from entering this staircase here. She says that the floor is only for top-ranked rangers. That is not you. You cannot get in here no matter how hard you try. And honestly, I haven't actually put anything here. You can walk into this staircase if you like somehow cheat, but nothing will happen. It won't take you anywhere. There's nothing up there. Again, that's just me leaving myself loose ends to eventually pick up as I flesh out the game. Now here we have a sprite that I've made. This is a character called Jessica. But I do think that we will save Jessica's dialogue for next time, because we're already at a really good time for this episode. I got to talk about what I wanted to talk about. We have explored Route 5 thoroughly, made it to the outpost, which was my goal. So this is perfect. So let's just save here. We've also updated our team. We've got water and flying resonance. It's going to be a lot of fun to use that in the next episode as we enter the forest. But yeah, thanks again everyone for watching. This has been episode 5 of the developer commentary playthrough. And next time we'll enter the forest, look at the lost Pokemon that's in there, the burglar that's trying to catch it, some of the secrets that are in there, one of the more major plot secrets, I guess, that's actually missable. We'll have a look at that. But that's for next time. So thank you, and bye for now.